we got called when we were in the middle of our trip. What caused that trip to go shorter was we got called in the middle of that trip and shared that my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, was going to be born. And she's a full sibling to my son. So immediately we were like, well, it looks like it's going to be time to come home. God has a bigger plan. So, and now I'm really glad we did that because, you know, now I've been able to be a part of watching my older daughters, you know, develop as young professionals. And, you know, I just see God's hand in all of it. It's really, really cool to see.
That's awesome.
So I don't mean to bore everybody with a long story, but
Dude, that's an awesome story.
For us, it's, you know, my cup is always overflowing when I think about my wife and my children and the many blessings the Lord has given to us.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
No, dude, what are you talking about? Like this boring story of me living on a yacht. Like when all of you guys were locked in your house, I was doing this boring thing, living on a lot in the Caribbean. I mean, you don't want to hear about me.
Well, you'd be surprised though.
You know?
I actually had people not so happy with me. It was, I can understand.
Well, then you know you're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had some criticism that came back from that. I don't mind it at all. I can appreciate their perspective.
That reminds me of the time that Saddam Hussein wrote an open letter condemning me. And I was like, I think I'm doing something right. I think this is the right guy.
You might be over the target.
I think this is the right guy to get this letter from. So when, you know, I get criticism now, and I'm trying to remember the last time I got criticism from anybody I respected.
Well, that's hard.
Anyway,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the criticism I get now is like, I'm like, perfect. You think I'm doing it wrong?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
I've always used it logs on the fire for me, you know. Be careful what you say to me because it might just motivate me.
You're kind of like Michael Jordan that way. You take a lot of things personal and then score 47 points in the next game.
I'm looking for a reason.
Working with you, I think it's a wonderful balance. So I've never seen you lose your temper, but I have seen you go, oh, really? Challenge accepted.
Right. Yeah.
I shall see you at dawn, pistols at dawn, you know, and I'm like, yeah, can I be your lieutenant? If he doesn't shoot you, I will. I just want to let you know, like, let's do this. So
it's not always fair though. As I really do look for, I do look for people to be competing with, you know, it's part of how I do things. So
that's what a healthy market is. A healthy marketplace. Who likes it when you say, hey, like there's only one place to eat in this whole town?
Correct.
When have you been in a little town and you're like, where can I eat? There's only one restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, that food's not going to be any good.
Sounds like the chow hall.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. That's not any good. You're like, oh, well, we got tons of options. We got 15 Mexican restaurants. We got 6 Chinese restaurants. Then you know, like, oh, well, one's the best one? And
it inspires you to get better. You know?
Yeah.
And so again, it causes you to want to be setting goals to be better than you were yesterday. And no, I enjoy it. I don't wish any ill will. I want everybody to do better because I know that'll drive me to do better. You know?
Yeah, well, there's also the whole abundance versus scarcity mindset. And I think you have a real abundance mindset that there's more gold in the mountain than anybody can carry.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And other people I've seen have a kind of a scarcity mindset. So if they miss out on anything, it's just, it crashes for them. You know what I mean? It affects them too negatively. And that's, I don't think that's, I think there's some kind of balance in there between saying, hey, look, everybody can win. Some people are just going to win a lot more than others. You know what I mean? Like some people are just going to get more. And I want to be, you know, I want to hoist the trophy at the end of the year. You know what I mean? But that's kind of built into, I think Western society has a lot of that built into is that it's like there was one winner and 31 losers. You know, like no one remembers like, oh, people in sports will say something like they're awful, and I'm like, they went to the championship last year. Yeah, and they lost. It's like they went to the championship. 30 teams didn't go at all.
And like, somebody had to lose.
Yeah, somebody had to lose. Dude, they still, you know.
No, I mean, I felt like that during football this year. I mean, gosh, what an incredible football season that last half of the year. And I love sports because I really appreciate the work ethic that has to go in, especially in these days of playing football. It's absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, it is.
How much work it takes. But, you know, I think about it more now, maybe as I get older, but when I think about what I've learned and how I learned it, I really didn't learn anything from our successes. I really learned more from screwing something up.
Yeah.
You know, and getting it wrong and then figuring out why I got it wrong and then getting it better. I think when you have successes, that's nice and it's great, but you usually don't learn as much from those. You know, it's just feedback that you already have that part down, right? But it's not enough. It's like you don't grow and learn from those successes. You learn from the losses.
A core part of the way you approach it versus the way I have approached it, and you've rubbed off on me, is I take failure a little too personal, and it starts to become blame on me, or blame on, which leads to blame on others.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I've never seen you do that. I've seen you hire and fire a lot of people, and the whole time it was a very, what's the right way to put it? Like there was never blame.
Right.
There was never blame. There was like, okay, this isn't working.
Right.
God has a better plan for you.
Yeah.
Because we have this system, and if you're not thriving in this system, then that's not, it was never like, you're an idiot. It was always like, then you weren't designed for the system. But there's a system out there. There's probably multiple systems out there for you. This just isn't one of them.
Yep.
And I always admired that. And, you know, it's one of those things where I can watch you and I can want to emulate you, but there's something in me that's like, hey, you know, you're not thriving in this system because you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I just get like, no. Or like, I must be an idiot. Yeah. Why? Because I hired you. You know, like that. I don't like that about myself, but I'm getting a little better with it. I know where you're going to take this, because you're going to say something positive about me, because the whole, like, it's literally, you're going to prove it right here in the moment where you're like, well, Joey.
Yeah. Well, I think you do a better job than you give yourself credit for.
See, there you go.
I think where you're coming from is love and compassion and for people, and I admire it. I do. I think the way that I've kind of gotten clear on things is like, by me releasing somebody from our company, what I'm really doing is freeing them up to go find what God's got for them.
Yeah.
Right. There's another something out there for them that's better than what this was. So really all you're trying to do is find alignment. You know, we all are being created by God. We all have very unique talents and gifts. And if you held them up and you look at them, you're trying to find alignment between those talents and gifts and what this opportunity is. And so, and especially when you're developing teams, you've got to find the characteristics that are natural core tenets in this person, the natural ones, not the modified ones that make people happy. The natural ones. And those natural tenets, do they fit that role? And if it does, then you've got a good alignment. What happens in interviews, what happens in selection, like when I was in the unit I was talking about the Marines, is that you can only fake it for so long. You can only modify your natural style for so long before you wear out or you start to fail yourself, and therefore you're failing the opportunity. Right? Yes. People say they want something, and until they start doing it. And then once they start doing it, they're like, hold on, this isn't what I wanted. That's because you're out of alignment. Yeah. You're not actually in the right opportunity. So, you know, I do the best I can to select people based on what I think their natural gifts are with the least amount of modification to their style, right? And if that fits this, we'll hire them. Sometimes I'm wrong because they sold me better than I could see. Like, they gave me a better story than what was real, even though I encouraged them to tell me.
Or they wanted to be that person.
Yes, and I couldn't.
But that's not really their talent.
Right, and I couldn't catch it. I tried to catch it. I asked a million different questions to try to catch it, but they were good enough to, you know, modify their style enough that it looked like it might be a good fit. And that's where the mistakes happen. And that's where, even when I was talking to that group of people you were thinking about earlier today, I was telling them, like, you gotta get really clear on what this role is and what the ideal person is for that role. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not, you'll always be in this problems. You know, you're always going to be repeating the same problem.
Well, I think about Michael Jordan, who is arguably the greatest player the NBA has ever had, and arguably the worst player the MLB has ever had. You know, played professional basketball, won 3 championships, goes off to play professional baseball, and he was awful, and comes back to basketball and wins 3 more championships. Yep. And so if you only judged him by his baseball record,
terrible,
and you didn't know that he played basketball, this guy is the worst
ever.
ever.
Jordan who?
Who? You mean the guy that batted 138? You know, like
right.
No, I'm talking about Michael Jordan, the guy who won 6 championships and scoring and this.
Perfect example.
And it's like, you know, that's the same dude.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
great dude, good fit. Right. And it's right person, right seat. There's a lid for every can. There's a butt for every seat, right? You just got to find the right fit.